All right, today we're gonna fresh crack the Balvenie DoubleWood 12-year-old Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey. This is from William Grant and Sons, so that's the same parent corporation that owns the Glenfiddich distillery. Now these two distilleries are not very far away. So this is, again, part of the William Grant and Sons family of products, which, again, Glenfiddich is the one you would most likely know. It's 40% ABV or 80 proof. It is chill filtered and does have color added. So, unfortunately, it is the mass market expression. And this particular bottle is 12 years in refill ex-bourbon. So 12 years refill ex-bourbon, and then 9 months finished in first fill ex-sherry. Ex-sherry butts, Oloroso, ex-sherry Oloroso butts, Oloroso sherry ex-butts, ex-Oloroso sherry butts. And again, this is the classic malt developed by David Stewart. This was developed in the 80s using 2 casks, revolutionary at the time, 2 casks. And that idea later would be known as wood finishing or barrel finishing. So this is the bottle and the guy who sort of invented the idea that you could barrel finish things, and this was the product in which that innovation occurred, and it was inconceivable at the time. And of course, this guy is quite known in the whiskey industry. This David Stewart fella. He has an MBE from Queen Elizabeth II for his service to the Scotch whiskey industry, if you can believe that. That being said, I've never had this shit before. So, it'll be my first time. It'll be my first time with a modern classic. I say modern classic like the 80s is still modern. That was like that was quite a while ago now. That's quite a while ago now. What's the benchmark for like a classic car 50 years old? What would that be, 1975? we're getting pretty old here. Nice color, though. I like the color, even if it's fake. Don't remind me, he says. Probably any car that has manual windows. Oof. I mean, they had manual windows not that long ago. I mean, I say not that long ago, as in like cars in the 90s. Remember cranking those up? I'm trying to remember. See, my parents, when I was little, we had Ford station wagons. And they had 2. Like, they went from like a real old one to like a newer one. And that old one, I'm trying to think. We had a old blue Ford station wagon. And I think those were manual, but I can't remember if those were manual or not. I'm pretty sure they were. But for sure, we had a Chevrolet Cavalier, I think, like when I was very, very young, and that one definitely had crank windows. I still use manual windows in my Jeep. It's a mutter. I guess that's kind of understandable. Hatchback Mustang. I don't have a visual. I don't have a visual for that. I don't know why those cars were so popular in the 80s, the Ford station wagons. I don't know, but it was kind of like the logic was it was kind of like a minivan, right? Like you needed to move a lot of people around. But later, like the minivan became the purpose for that. I don't know why. I'm actually not sure why station wagons were more popular than minivans at the time. Maybe it was just a fashion thing. I don't know. Now, one of the things you could do with the station wagon is, if you weren't using the bunk seat right in the back, you could like fold that down. And since it was so much longer, you could fit much longer things in there. Rather than like in like a minivan where like your trunk is kind of just like not that long. It's kind of like tall, but not long. Whereas the station wagon would have like a longer trunk, I guess. I seem to remember, like, you know, in the time before people used seatbelts all the time, like people would like put those things down in the station wagons in the back and sleep back there, but I don't think that's advisable these days. Nice pop. I don't know if the pop is as good on this microphone, but it was nice in real life. Boom. All right, there's our completely artificial color here. Is that a bag of chips in the corner of your room? There is I don't know I don't know why that suddenly this has become a like there's been like bags of chips in this corner for like as long as I've been streaming in this room. But like recently for some reason everyone comments that there's a bag of chips right there. Last time it was Munchos, now it's just regular Walmart great value regular chips because those are a fucking $1. What a bargain. But yeah, there is a bag of chips over there. Again, the legs on this one pretty fast running. Again, it's 40% alcohol. We don't expect. What the hell is that? We don't expect too much from it. This is the Shure microphone, yeah. So I don't know if it sounds better or worse. It definitely sounds different than the other one did. The main difference between this one and the other one I was using is the other one, in order to like prevent mechanical sounds, I was using that NVIDIA broadcast filter that would sometimes like warp my voice a little bit, or sometimes like have like pops and cracks that I continually had to fix. So with this one, I don't have that filter enabled at all. That filter is gone now. So that was like the main benefit, is to not have to fuck around with that filter anymore. So hopefully it's working well at this time. I'm still kind of like, the other one kind of had more of a like kind of like tinny mechanical sound, which was kind of okay. I kind of liked it. This one's like maybe a bit more warmer and bassy. So you guys can let me know what you think. I haven't EQ'd it a whole lot. I could do more EQ, but it's not my like specialty, so I don't 100% know what I'm doing with it. You think I'm gonna keep that in the streams as an Easter egg? I could like put different things there, I guess. I guess I could do that. What kind of mic was it? This one or the old one? This is a SM7B. The old one was a Wave DX. Which kind of like, I didn't hate the sound of. Yeah, the old one was a Wave DX, which there's actually nothing wrong with that microphone. The problem with it is, for my purpose, it was picking up too much mechanical noise, and I'm not in like a studio. And this kind of microphone is made more for like if you're in a suboptimal recording environment. The BBC corner. It's made to like shut out like other vectors and stuff like that. So like a lot of times they'll use these on podcasts, right? So you're not in a situation where like if I'm here and talking and then a guy's across from the table me and talking, the worst thing that you want is for my microphone to pick up his speech, right? Because then you have double speech. So it's kind of like made for that kind of like purpose. It only captures the vector in which you talk into for the most part, and like rejects sound in every other direction. And that's really what one of the main purposes that I wanted it for. But also, this thing has like an internal shock mount mechanism, such that like you could be running a marathon and and recording something and you wouldn't know it, because like the internal mechanism is very resistant to physical sound. Like if I like move this around and stuff like that. I channeled my inner blood on Mondays sampling those Japanese whiskeys. Yeah. Do you drink every day? Every weekday, I do about an hour of spirits related content around this time. Using the Rode pod mic? Yeah, I actually have a Rode pod mic. It's in the other room. And I originally got it for like the same purpose, is because it's supposed to have an internal shock mount. And I kind of found it didn't absorb sound nearly as well as I wanted it to, and ended up going back to the Wave DX after I got it. But I still have it around, like in the event that I want to have another microphone plugged in, right? Like I have a couple microphones. I think with like that one, the Rode pod mic, if you have a Rodecaster, it might be better. This arm in particular, it doesn't do a great job of absorbing like movement. So like if the table shakes, it reverberates all through this arm into the microphone. So like that's the problem that I'm having mainly. And if your arm is like higher, maybe better at shock absorption than mine, you might have a better time with a microphone that doesn't have as much shock mounting. But this one for sure, one of my main problems with it is like any sound like here was reverberating straight through the arm. Meeting time, yeah, I know we're stalling a bit, Cap, but hopefully we'll catch you after. I'd like to get a sure though. Yeah, this so far I'm impressed with it, but I haven't see like stuff like this. I'm trying to like see like part of the reason why I do this. I want to see if it like makes too much noise when I do that, because if I did that with the old microphone, it would make a horrible sound. And that's why I was ended up using like a noise filter. My arms are basic Amazon arms, pretty terrible. Oh, I thought you said. Oh, there is the Rodecaster not an arm. It's not a boom arm. My wife yells at me every time. Yeah. But I mean, it's just like one of those things, like every day, like whatever, you're just moving stuff, you're putting stuff up and down, you're touching things and moving them around. This would all reverberate through the mic arm. And for a microphone like Wave DX or for like the Rode pod mic, it would just, you could hear that in the vocal, like in the microphone. You could, the physical sound was present, and it was bothering me forever. So that's why I had a software solution to fix it. And again, I kind of felt like using the software filter to eliminate that noise was better than having the noise come through completely. But the software eventually was causing me so many headaches that I kind of was like, I really need to just solve this on the hardware level. Podcast recording module. Oh, okay. Oh, it's the XLR interface. Oh, okay. Yeah, the XLR interface I'm using is the same one that came with the Wave DX. So it's just this little thing right here. That's the whole XLR interface, and that dial just goes up and down. I can mute it by doing this. Just like that, like touching the top of it. There's no button, it's just like physical contact will mute the microphone. And then the whole ring will turn red, so that you know it's muted. And it has phantom power and everything in it. So it's kind of nice. I like that little interface. But the microphone itself was not bad. I didn't hate the microphone or how it sounded. It's just for my purpose, there's too much physical noise getting into the microphone. And maybe if I had a more stable arm, or like it was floor mounted, or it was like I don't know, if you could do like a shotgun setup where it was like floor mounted coming out and it was more stable, not attached to my desk or whatever, like, or if I was in like a room on my own where there isn't like sound from the kitchen or whatever, like I feel like it would be in a better environment. But regardless of what I did with like noise gates and expanders and stuff like that, I never felt like it really got better without an actual software filter, and then the filter was the thing causing me the headache. Anyway, so let's get to our main event here. This has been resting for a hot minute, so should be good. Audio can be a real pain in the ass. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like if you have like a headset microphone, it actually is like pretty reasonable. But like when you want to upgrade from like the headset microphone to like something a little bit more professional to increase your sound quality, it opens up this giant world of fucking like things you have to learn and problems you have to solve. Like there's huge growing pains with going from headset microphone to like XLR, and like the increase in sound quality is like, okay, it's like you get a little bit better sound. The sound's a little bit better, but it's like almost not even, it's almost like not even worth the headache, really. Some days I wish I was still on the headset microphone. It's so much less stress. But I'm learning a lot. So I feel like every time I have an audio issue, I learn more about how all this works. Like one of the things I'm not sure about is whether or not I need to do more with like the signal, like more like EQ and more like compressor stuff, like, and more de-essing and stuff like that. I've tried to learn about it, but it's really difficult for me to grasp exactly. And it's like I kind of get what people say, like sometimes this sound, like it's a little spiky, and you can like, there's ways you can make this sound less sharp with like specific like wet tools, right? And I feel like I would do a whole bunch of stuff and it would sound worse, and I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing? But we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. So if I was to like put this, compare this to a whiskey I've already had, this reminds me a lot of Glenlivet 12-year-old. That's what it reminds me of, is like your plain Jane Glenlivet. The nose is very similar. I need to buy another bottle of Glenlivet 12, I think almost just for this purpose. I was going to do that anyway, but just because like the aroma I get here is like straight apple juice. It's like apple juice with a slight maltiness. But it's like almost like, well, there's like a little bit of like grape juice in there too. It's very like on the like sweet juice kind of aromas. Where the hell happened to my TikTok chat? Like disappeared. TikTok, where'd you go? Come back to me, TikTok. There you are. Yeah, I know I'm talking about alcohol, TikTok. It's okay. I don't need any kids watching me anyway. Yeah, it's like apple and grape juice. And there's like a little bit of malt in there. And there's like maybe an underlying like toasted barrel kind of note. And there's kind of like it's like a little bit of another sweetness in there too. It's actually not bad. And again, that's something that I think is true of Glenfiddich is despite like something being 40% alcohol in the Glenfiddich world, it stands up to like this kind of like watering down pretty well. Even though with 40% alcohol, Glenfiddich 12 or Glenfiddich 15 still like has a good amount of aroma and a good amount of flavor on the palate, despite like it's clearly been watered from cask strength. And I think this is also true of this bottle, which again is not from the same distillery as Glenfiddich, but is the same company as Glenfiddich. Despite this being 40% alcohol and not terribly old, you can go right in there and you immediately get some of that fruit character, some of that malt character. You're not like straining to find flavor there on the aroma. So that's a little encouraging because sometimes with these 40% alcohol whiskeys, you kind of like feel like they're too diluted, they're too soft or a little muted. I definitely don't feel that with this nose. Some of that vanilla is kind of peeking through here now that we kind of got past most of that like juicy kind of fruit character. Yeah, it kind of feels like honey or like a vanilla sweetness with like a bit of like a toasted oak kind of note. Some maltiness there. All right. So, Balvenie DoubleWood, 12-year-old, Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey on the palate. Slash. Palate is way more tame than the nose and finish. The palate definitely kind of like bears the brunt of that dilution. The main flavor I get of the palate is like kind of like a honey nut Cheerios kind of maltiness. It's kind of like that cereal grains malt kind of character. And to me, it's kind of hitting like a slightly sweet cereal, like Cheerios or Honey Nut Cheerios or this kind of thing. Not quite the honeycomb cereal that sometimes you get off of like blended scotches like Chivas Regal and stuff like that. You have a kind of like a honeycomb cereal kind of taste. This one kind of hits me more like Honey Nut Cheerios or Cheerios. But as soon as you finish, you kind of get a more intense kind of like dried fruit, oaky and vanilla impact. So it's kind of like you go from like searching for a little bit of flavor on the palate to like more expressive flavor on the finish. I really like the nose though. You definitely get in there, and sometimes you get some of those rich grape juice, apple juice, orchard notes. Accompanied with some of that vanilla, some of that sweetness, some of that malt, some of that barrel. You kind of have a like every little bit of the Space Side Bingo scorecard kind of in there in different combinations. So it's a nice aroma, but I think as soon as you go for the palate, you'll see the dilution. Yeah, palate is like just, it's like way too smooth for me. It's way too muted. Again, just slight whisper of a maltiness on the palate. That's pretty much all you get. But when you swallow, you do get that kind of more intense, a little bit of spice, a little bit of dried fruit, a little bit of barrel, and some vanilla. It's kind of like a roller coaster a little bit. The nose is good and sets a good expectation. And then the palate is like, oh. And then you swallow the liquid and it's like, oh, that's better. And it's hard. I think to some extent, I feel like when you dilute to 40% alcohol, especially in a younger expression like 12 years, you definitely feel that the most on the palate. The palate like really bears the brunt, I think, of the water. You still kind of like seem to be able to get respectable aromas and finishes, even with it's heavily diluted to 40%. But the palate on this one is kind of like unfortunate for me. Much more so than like Glenfiddich 12, which I think is by and large has a better palate than this. So yeah, my initial kind of impression of this, just off the first neck pour rip here, is it's not bad. I can see why people would enjoy this particular expression. It is quite smooth. Again, it's very drinkable, but with its smoothness, it comes with a lack of interesting kind of characteristics, a lack of strength, of intensity of flavor, and there's not much to keep you interested here, I think. If you've had, if you're kind of looking to explore what's available in the whiskey world, this is not going to really, what's the word, keep you interested for very long. It's fine. We'll say it's good. It's good.